This video is entitled Agile Methodologies and is part of our Project Management for Technology course. I'm Dr. Reneau from Shawnee State University, and I'll be taking you through this brief video lecture. In this lecture, we're going to cover several Agile methodologies, including Scrum, Lean, Extreme Programming, Feature-Driven Dynamic Systems Dev Model, Agile Unified, and we'll talk a little bit about the idea of a hybrid process of combining multiple processes. We'll also talk about the Kanban and DevOps. Probably the most widely known Agile methodology and the one most talked about is called SCRUM, S-C-R-U-M. Scrum comes from the game of rugby, and it's used to restart the game. There's a picture of a rugby scrum up top. Basically, the two teams line up opposed to each other. A player throws the ball in the middle, and it's a melee of everybody trying to get the ball and trying to get control of the ball for the next part of the game. In a Scrum team, usually you create a cross-functional team with members from various stakeholder groups and very technology groups, like your database people, your programming people, your networking people, your security people. And they're all in a small group. Usually a Scrum group or Scrum team is approximately 7 to 8. That's kind of what's been found to be the optimal size of a Scrum group, but they can be a little bigger or smaller. A Scrum team is self-organized and self-directed, and they have flexible goals that change based upon whatever we see needs to happen. The team may see that this is a problem coming up, and they're going to pivot towards it. Usually in a Scrum development group, there's a daily meeting, usually about a 15-minute meeting, called the daily stand-up, where everybody, all the team members get together in a room or in a virtual chat channel face-to-face, where they can talk about what they did yesterday, what they're going to do today, obstacles, and ask for help if they're having problems. That way other team members in their cross-functional team can give them some direction and maybe tell them, oh, I've already solved that problem over here. We'll talk offline, or we'll get together later. Usually a Scrum team tries to set goals weekly and creates what are called sprints. A sprint is, here's our goal for the week. We're all going to work hard and make that happen. We're all going to score this goal once a week. Each sprint, we hope, delivers a finished product, actually delivers a version of the software that can go out to the user so that we can get immediate feedback back from the constituents, from the users, from the stakeholders as to how it's working. And by keeping these cycles short, 1 week, doing a daily stand-up, not spending too much time in meetings, but getting a lot of work done, letting people have autonomy, flexible, self-organized, and a team that's small enough that everybody can work well together is the whole idea behind a Scrum. And you can see how that's kind of what a sports team does. Another methodology the book lists is the Lean methodology. And the Lean methodology was originated at Toyota Motor Manufacturing, and it's all about the concept of eliminating all waste. And let me define waste, because waste is part of all of the Agile methodologies and trying to eliminate waste. Waste is anything that does not add to the value of the project or process. So a meeting that doesn't resolve anything is waste. Unneeded motion of emails and passing things and waiting for things to arrive is waste. So, and the Japanese word for that is kaizen or kaizen. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's K-I-Z-E-N, and it means continuous improvement. And in Lean, what we do is we're always looking for small ways to make it better. Now, some will say, well, why don't you look for the big things and make the big things better? Well, a lot of the big things have already been done. And a lot of the big things you can't do because of institutions and because of people and because of processes and maybe contracts and other things. But we always look for the waste and make continuous small improvements. The 7 wastes are the waste of motion. So if you've got to move something from one place to another, that's a waste. Redesign the process so that things are close and motion doesn't happen, or repetitive motions are smaller. And this works in a technology also, turning to do something, office ergonomics, all kinds of things will increase motion and reduce the waste. The waste of waiting. How many times do we twiddle our thumbs and go, duh, 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 I'm just waiting for somebody else to finish their job? Well, that's waste. You could be doing something else. Transportation, the waste of moving one item from somewhere to another where. Sending somebody a zip file and them working on it and then sending it back to you while you wait for them to do their thing. So think of the loss of transportation. If you were building a factory, you were looking at building a facility, transportation of things is a waste because it'd be a whole lot easier if you didn't have to move it. Storage. How is storage waste? Well, if you're going to sell 100 this month and you have 1,000 in storage, you've got a lot of your capital tied up just sitting there. So storage is waste. Making errors is waste. Defects is waste. Any processing overhead of dealing with tracking, with reporting, with all of those kinds of things is waste. And of course, overproduction, making too much, going too far, taking it, are all waste. Now, the ideas of lean and the ideas of eliminating waste, while in the book it was called its own Agile methodology, it really is just one of the Agile tools and can be used really within any of the methodologies, including the classic methodology, when you're laying out your work breakdown structures, when you're laying out your critical path and your diagrams, which you'll see in the next topic. All of these things are wastes that you as a project manager have to be aware of. So while this is listed as an Agile methodology, it really should be integrated within all of your processes. Extreme programming, or XP, is a kind of a neat idea and has been around for quite a while. And it's used in high risk where we don't know the requirements and we've got to deliver something quickly. Usually in XP, it's a team of 12 or less of programmers, database people, and documenters, and everybody is co-located working together. So imagine we've got a room, we're all there, we're all working together, we can talk to each other, we can collaborate, and one of the hallmarks of extreme programming is something called team programming. In team programming, there's one keyboard and usually 2 people at the desk, where one programmer is typing and one is talking about what they're doing, and they can then switch roles. The other can type for a while and work on something, or they can say, here, let me do that, I know how to do that, and the other one's watching. So they're always looking to optimize, always looking to reduce bugs. There's an old open source adage of many eyes reduce the bugs, or something like that. So with team programming, you've got 4 eyes, and if they're wearing glasses, you've got 8 eyes, looking at the screen and making sure the code works and is right. Extreme programming values the ideas of respect and feedback and simplicity. But extreme programming is also about courage, that you've got the courage to look at your team member you're sharing a desk with that day, and it may switch. You may switch team members depending on their expertise. Of being honest with them, of telling them what you need, telling them what you see, seeing an error or seeing a more efficient way. Extreme programming also spends significant amount of time creating automatic unit and testing functions. So each program or each section of a program will have a series of test cases written, and we'll have automated testing. So once we're done with the programming, we'll submit it. The test engine will test what we've done today. And if it fails, you got to fix it immediately. There's no, I'm in the middle of something, I'll fix that later. No, you've got to fix it right now. And then functional testing for the entire system is also built in. You're continuously taking code from these programmers, this team, this pair, and bringing them together continuously. So you know the system is always going to work. There's no set cycle like in Scrum where you say we're going to have a week-long Scrum to do this. We're going to have a 12-day Scrum to do this. We're going to in 3-day Scrum to do that. No, in extreme programming, there's no set time, but it must pass all unit tests and meet the user's needs every time you do a release. And sometimes these releases can be daily, sometimes these releases can be multiple times a week or several times a month. Now I'm going to get into some lesser used Agile methodologies like the feature-driven methodology, which starts with a model and then its features, breaks the features into a plan and then builds the features. It's all about designing and building features. We've got a list of things the user needs. We've got them prioritized from high to low. And we just, let's do feature 1, let's do feature 2, let's do feature 3. And we're always rolling out implementations based upon the features. Now, are we doing that when we're creating our Scrum sprints? Yeah, of course we are. So feature-driven and Scrum has parts of feature-driven in it, as well as the dynamic systems model, which takes scope within the constraints and focuses on the needs of the user. Remember the old triple constraints? I mentioned it in the last video. Time, money, and quality. Time, money, and quality are the triple constraints. So you can have something quick, but it's going to be expensive and you might not have the quality you want. You can have something that's perfect, but it'll take forever and cost a lot of money. So you have to kind of balance those three triple constraints. And the DSDM is all about measuring the constraints and trying to figure out what you can do within the limit of the constraints. What kind of time, what kind of money, and what kind of quality constraints have you defined? And then pick something there in the middle and get it done. The last kind of technique that I want to talk about is the Agile unified process. And to be honest, I've never seen a team that actually works like this. But basically in the AUP, team members are given autonomy. They're just told what to do. They're just told what to do. And the team member knows how to do it and decides which tools to do it with. Think about a team where everybody is using a different tool and you've got to integrate it back together. That isn't going to work. But think about some processes that an Agile unified process would work, where you're a contractor, you've been given the job to do the plumbing, you've been given a job to do the electrical, you've been given a job to do some of the site prep, you've been given a job to do this, and you've been given a job to do that. And we're at the point in the process where we can all work together. You can be doing that, I can be doing this, and it's okay. Well, there we go. I know what to do. I've got my tools to do it. You don't tell me how to do it. I got it. I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone. But you're given high-level guidance from your project management. So an AUP kind of idea, but you really can't build a building using AUP. Hybrid is just what it sounds like. It's taking a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of this and creating your own. In fact, every group, every shop I've ever heard of has their own flavor of Agile, has their own flavor of classical methodologies. There are no two teams that work the same way together, just like there are no two sports teams that have the same plays. Um, that's what it's all about. The team trying to figure out, or the project manager with the team, with the stakeholders, with the others involved in a project, trying to figure out just how to make it work. Now, the book talks about Kanban as an agile methodology, and to be honest, the way I understand Kanban is it's a tool that's used within agile methodologies and probably should be used in most of our lives. I love the Kanban, and I'll often set up a Kanban board for myself when I have a whole lot on my plate to do. The Kanban was created in the 1940s, again, by Toyota. Boy, the guys at Toyota have just been geniuses in a lot of things. And it's a communication tool, again, used in many agile methodologies. Basically, imagine a whiteboard or a blackboard or some kind of sign on the wall divided up into 3 columns. Sometimes they're divided into 4 or 5 columns, but the simple Kanban I want you to understand and be able to describe and know and hopefully use is defined into 3 columns. And it's basically to do, doing, and done are the 3 columns. So you have a Kanban sitting in your office that says to do, doing, and done. What we often will do with a Kanban is we'll write it on a Post-it note, write up something we have to do on a Post-it note, and as soon as we write it down, we forget about it and put it on the to-do. Just put it up there. When you start working on something, you pull it off of the to-do column and put it in the doing column. And when it's finished, when you're done with your unit testing, you're done with your QA, you're done with what you can do, and you're passing it on to another human, you put it in your done column. After a while, you move it from done into a history folder somewhere, or throw the Post-it note away. But here's the thing that this saves. Switching between one task to another is horribly inefficient. We as humans don't handle multitasking very well. I know you're going to say you can, you're special. I don't buy it. Stop and think about how much time you spend switching tools, switching ideas, switching from one thing to another. We all know that driving and texting is bad because you're distracted and you can't do either well. But stop and try this experiment. Count to 1 through 10. Then use the Roman numerals, and count 1 through 10. And then say the first 10 letters of the alphabet. Okay? And that's focusing on one task at a time, counting 1 to 10, Roman numerals 1 to 10, and the first 10 letters of the alphabet. Write them down on a piece of paper. Write them down. Write the 3 columns down. Now, take that piece of paper, turn it over. Write 1 I A, 2 I B, 3 I C, and do it all the 1s, all the 2s, all the 3s, all the 4s. You will find that you could do the first task so much faster because you're not changing the way of thinking. You're using your noggin right. So switching between tasks is inefficient. Often we've got all the time of switching our tools, of closing one window, opening another window, even if it's just that much time we've wasted. We've got errors that we create And the human brain doesn't switch well. So the Kanban is all about trying to keep the doing column to 2 or 3 items. I'm working on this right now. I've got this that I'm pending waiting for somebody. I've got this that's pending waiting on somebody. And I'm working on one thing right now. And that's what the Kanban is all about, letting you focus on the activities at hand. So don't move things over into doing if you've got 10 things going on at once, because you can't keep them all separate in your head. You can't keep them all going. At least I can. And the Kanban is an agile tool to help you do that. So here's a graphic example of a Kanban board with the to-do, the doing, and the done. And I called it done or in QA because it might be done from you and you've passed it to somebody else. And once it's moved to their Kanban board, once they come back and say, yeah, it was correct, you can pull it off the QA and file it. Or you move it back to do because you screwed up and you got to fix it. There is an interesting, not really methodology, but a way to manage IT and information systems, often known as DevOps or DevSecOps. In DevOps, development, operations, and security often all work together so that development. Now, one of the problems with this is it again makes it, well, where's the line between a project, temporary endeavor for a specific deliverable, all of a sudden becomes, well, is it development? Is it operations? It's both at the same time, especially if we're doing the development agilely and rolling out releases daily, weekly, semi-monthly. So in DevOps, developers, operators, and security all work together to reduce the cycles of software releases from months to years between software releases to daily or even hourly software releases to fix the bugs and to keep things moving forward and to keep getting the features out in the user's hands. One of the great things about DevOps is that it allows us to use Kanban and other agile methodologies and techniques to streamline and to reduce work, or to reduce waste, to use the whole lean idea. Because when a programmer pushes a release out, operations gets it immediately. Things are automated. We use lots of checklists. It's secure. It's reliable. It's agile. It doesn't work for all situations, but DevOps is a really cool way to combine agile methodologies for project development with operations to make it all work dynamically and to kind of close some of those loops of writing a piece of software and shipping it over to operations, and operations doesn't know how to use it or has problems with it and has to come back to development, and then development goes back to operations. And hey, that sounds like a lot of waiting and a lot of transport, doesn't it? Where if it were all one operation working together and the updates were seamlessly pushed, then we've reduced. To create this video, I used the Heldman book. I also used the picture came from Rugby's Greatest Dominant Scrums on YouTube. The Agile image or the Kanban image came from Open Clip Art, and I did get some help from the website at Atlassian on the Kanban. Well, that concludes another of these brief lecture videos for project management. I'm glad you made it through this one this time. Thank you for watching. This presentation is copyright 2023 by James Reneau Ph.D. This work is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. And if you need to contact me, don't hesitate at jreneau@shawnee.edu. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video soon.